I met a gypsy.
My van that my buddy was driving, my van fucking smoked a meat freezer in the middle of the.
Yeah, dude, tell me about that. I heard about that shit. What the fuck?
So like, yeah, before all this, like I already like on my way to X Games, I like.
So you and your buddy drive.
I had my buddy drive. Like at that point, I had so much going on. I just finished everything I needed to finish to get going for that, and it was gonna be too much on my body, and just getting there just to like.
You're factoring out. Come on, that's what it is.
And to be honest, I just didn't really want to. I just didn't really want to drive that far, and so fortunately, Fast House let us use their van, and one of my best friends from my hometown that I've been best friends with for long as I can remember, Tyler Beach, and he comes down, grabs everything, like comes down late the night before, leaves super early the next morning, is like calls me. He's like, "Oh, I'm already to Colorado." I'm like, "Dude, you gotta pull over and sleep tonight, like get some sleep because you're way ahead of schedule, you know, you're gonna beat me there." And like, so he sleeps in Colorado, whatever, wakes up the next day, I'm getting on a plane, and I leave Ontario. I have a layover in San Fran, and then I go to Minneapolis, and my plane from Ontario kept getting delayed, and I'm like, fuck, might not make my connection. Well, whatever, made the flight, got to the connection. I'm like full-blown sprint running to my gate, right? And then I feel my phone vibrating in my pocket. I get to the gate. I'm like, you know, like winded as hell. Like, mind you, I'm in terrible shape. At least I'm honest. So I get there and I'm like, like great riding shape, but you know.
Yeah, you're in good best whip shape.
my knees are smoked. I can't do much running these days.
Yeah.
So I get to the gate and I feel my phone vibrating in my pocket, and I'm like look at my phone, and it's like my mechanic Rob. I'm like, why would Rob be calling me right now? Like, Rob's supposed to be getting on a plane.
No news is good news when it comes to that kind of shit. Yeah.
Rob was calling me getting on the plane, and like he was leaving after me at 11 o'clock that night. I left during that morning, and it's Rob, and he's like, "Hey man, what's up?" Like, and I could just tell in his voice like something happened. I'm like, "What's up?" And I was like, "I just got to my gate, you know." "What's up?" You know? So he tells me Beach crashed the van. Like he was driving down the interstate, and a meat freezer, like basically a big meat freezer, like, you know, long rectangle one, fell out of the back of a truck in front of him, and the car in front of him swerved to miss it, and he was on cruise control, just cruising. And next thing you know, the car in front of him, he didn't see it fall out. The car in front of him swerved, and he's on cruise control, and he's like, "What do I do?" The car in front of him swerved left.
Plus, when you're in a van, it's not like you're super maneuverable.
Yeah, for sure, in a Sprinter. And he's like, sees it and like gets to the brakes and tries to swerve and gets right. It's either smoked the guardrail on the right side of the van or clipped the meat freezer. And he was just like, fuck it, just hung on, smoked that thing. He said he sent it like a hockey puck, just like into the center median, just like thing just went poof, and destroyed the van, right? So at that point, like, I didn't just have my bike in there. I had my buddy Wanky's bike that from Japan, and like he's also competing too. And like at that point, I wasn't just worried about my shit. Like, I'm also worried, like, okay, this guy paid the driver, you know, came from Japan, paid the driver some money to take his bike, and now his mic might not show up too. Like, and at that point I get that call, and I'm just like losing my fucking mind, and knowing that I'm about to sit. The
worst thing is being on a plane.
About to sit down on a plane and be on a plane for the next 5 hours, you know? So mind you, like, I get there, get on the. Yeah, everyone first thing, like, call my chick, like, fucking never believe it, like, just losing my mind. She's like, it's all right, everything will be fine. Like, then I call him, and I'm like, dude, like you never fucking believe it, like, absolute worst case scenario. Like, so by the time I got to X Games, like, I get there, finally call Beach. I'm like, dude, like, what's up? And he's like, we're good. They called AAA, got a tow truck driver there. The tow truck driver took me to a place to drop the van to get it worked on. The tow truck driver was a fan of motorcycles, and so he canceled his next job, drove him like 100 miles back to the place that he was at, back towards where the crash was, which was in middle of nowhere, Nebraska, I think, like middle of fucking nowhere.
Nothing's doing.
And goes back, and he's like on the phone all day. Finally finds a U-Haul, right? Like goes back. These guys take him back to a U-Haul place. Gets in a U-Haul, drives back to the where the van is.
Unloads everything.
Does full Chinese fire drill. Throws everything in. Gets on the road and shows up the morning of quarter practice at like 9 a.m. Quarter practice is at like 3:30. And at that point, I'm like fully just
tripping.
Like the year before was like my first X Games, and it was like no pressure. Like I was just like so stoked to be there. And like then it was like this next one was like, okay, now I know like where
you're here to win now.
I want to win, you know, and I expect to win. So I was like, you know, and then I get there and I'm like, that was the last thing I needed, you know, to start my week. So it was just kind of like started off like fucking nightmare, you know. But anyways, like ended up getting there. Like my homie like pulled through so solid. Like, dude, owe that dude the world for even just getting mine and Wanky's shit there and drove literally all through the night. Got there, watched me practice, and like literally like barely made it back to the hotel and slept for like a day straight.
What a G.
Yeah. So that was a hectic experience. So like bike barely made it, all that. So like that morning, like I'm already worried about all that. And then I got to go to the riders meeting and like, I haven't hit this thing. I'm shaking like a leaf, dude. Like literally feel my heart, and it's just like,